Okay, 8 minutes past 2 p.m. Welcome back to Fusion right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. And today we are looking at the Nigerian electoral system. We are going to be giving you a full breakdown on everything you need to know. Consider this an electoral system 101 for the next hour. Of course, we are also going to be looking into the recently concluded Osun State elections, as well as the recently concluded Lagos State primaries for the APC. And then we are also going to be telling you exactly what you need to do and how to get civically engaged ahead of 2019. So if you're a Nigerian youth, today's discussion is definitely for you. And in the studio to analyze all of this is a political analyst himself, Mr. Deji Omoshola. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. Now, let's start off with the very basics. Can you give us a breakdown on how the Nigerian electoral system works?
Well, for the Nigerian electoral system, you need to register once you are 18. You register at the nearest registration center close to you. Then after the registration, you need to pick up your PVC, which is very important. Most people register, but they are so reluctant to pick up their PVC. So after picking up your PVC on election day, you have to go and cast your vote for whoever you so desire based on your own personal conviction, whatever you've seen in your candidate. So then after casting your vote, you need to wait for you to witness the counting of the votes. And after the counting of the vote, you get the result, monitor it. I think that's it about you fulfilling your civic responsibility as a Nigerian citizen when it comes to voting on elections.
Okay, so what would you say are the challenges that we are seeing in the Nigerian electoral system today?
Well, the challenges we are seeing in the Nigerian electoral system are quite many. The most recent one is vote buying. Then see and buy. There are two different things. Vote buying is when you induce someone to vote for you. It can be monetary, it can be in terms of gift. But see and buy is when someone actually votes and find a means of showing you who they cast their vote for, maybe by recording it on their phone, or probably by finding a means to show you the party agent. That is see and buy. And I think that is a serious problem that we need to tackle. Then another problem now, based on the Osun election and the recently concluded Lagos primary, is intimidating supporters of the opponent, not allowing them to cast their votes. I think that is a major problem. We saw that during the run election in Osun State, and just a couple of hours ago, we saw that in Lagos too, whereby the supporters of incumbent Governor Ambode were complaining that the supporters of Sanwo-Olu were intimidating them. They wouldn't allow them to cast their vote. These are major problems. Then on the part of government too and INEC, the zeal to conduct free and fair election in terms of prosecuting electoral offenders when it comes to electoral fraud, we have not really done much. Then the source of funding for elections too is something we need to look into, because election is too costly in Nigeria. And when election is costly, definitely people that have ambitions and aspirations cannot fund it. So that's where the Godfather comes in. And when somebody funds the election of a particular candidate, that candidate is naturally expected to be loyal to the Godfather. So there are so many issues. Then in terms of the National Assembly too, legislation, we need good legislation that can make the electoral system more functioning, because there are some lacunas in our laws that won't that restrict the capacity of INEC and the police and security agency to perform their functions effectively. And most importantly, the federal government too need to step up their game and see that personal interest does not override the decision to retain power. Because in our system, we manipulate the system in such a way that it must work for the person in power. You see a situation whereby politics has become the switch that controls the operations of the Nigerian police. That is not acceptable. Look at the Osun election. On the eve of the election, you see police inviting the candidate of the opposition party. It is not a crime, and within the ambit of the law, there is no particular time which police can invite someone. Once the investigation is concluded, the police has the right to invite someone. But when a particular candidate is invited for a particular crime on the eve of the election, and it's not like the crime occurred yesterday, definitely you cannot erase the political undertone from it. So we still have a long way to go. I don't believe that Nigeria democracy is nascent, because 20-year-old, you need to be just 18 years to vote. And any child that is born 20 years ago, at least has his own independent sense of reasoning.
Okay. Let's go back to what you said about the costs of wanting to even run in the elections. Now, I recently spoke to a governorship candidate for Oyo State, and she expressed that she finds the not too young to run law quite nonsensical, because she stated that either way, how is the average 35-year-old Nigerian today going to even afford to contest in the presidential elections against people who have the monetary value to put themselves at the forefront? What would you say on that? Do you also think that the not too young to run law is quite nonsensical in not necessarily in theory but in practice?
Well, the not too young to run law is not really nonsensical, because at least it is a step in the right direction. We can't say it is nonsensical, but the only thing is our politicians, they are very smart. Once you try to catch them here, the snake pass you by. So for the not too young to run, I think a situation whereby you allow youth to contest for elections and you peg the price of interest form at 45 million. So how do you expect probably a 35-year-old or 40-year-old person to get 45 million just for the nomination and expression of interest form? So for me, the too young to run is a very good idea. It's a perfect idea, but then it still cage the youth under the influence, at the mercy of the godfathers, the money bags, in such a way that the youth cannot easily express themselves. And we also have youths today that they don't really support their co-youth. They prefer to be political hallelujah boys for the money bags, because they believe that is where they can survive. But then you blame that on poverty too, and lack of adequate education. Because if an average thug on the street knows that the inefficiency of politicians all over the years, it's part of what contributed into him being a thug, I believe it will be the force to chase anybody that wants to use him for political thuggery. So the not too young to run law, it's a good idea, but I don't see it having much effect in our Nigerian system now. The oldies are not ready to retire anytime soon.
Okay. Now, regardless of the fact that we have these laws in place, we've now looked at the hurdles that are put there, and we can see that it's close to impossible for a lot of young Nigerians to have the monies to necessarily come forward and also put themselves at the forefront of the Nigerian polity. However, it doesn't necessarily eradicate grassroots politics and getting right to the grassroots of issues in your community, etc. How can the average Nigerian youth today become more politically involved?
Well, Nigerian youth today, they can be more politically involved when government, the ruling class today, try to give us more opportunity. If you see a mate of yours appointed probably as a minister, there are so many brilliant youth. If you see probably 30-year-old, 35, appointed as a minister, it inspires you. It increases your political participation. But a situation whereby you see only old people, you see Minister for Youth and Sport is an elderly person, so old. Information and technology in this modern age and time, you see probably an old person occupying that position. So it reduces the interest of the youth because it naturally sinks into them and they tend to believe politics is not for them, that they really cannot make any meaningful impact. Then youth has to believe in the population because we constitute a larger percentage of the population. So the youth of nowadays have to believe in themselves and support fellow youth, register, stand by their vote, and make sure that their vote counts.
Okay, very interesting. But what I'm trying to get at is levels of politics in which youths can start to participate within Nigeria. So we know that there are different levels to this. There are different offices, etc., different arms of government as well. Where can the Nigerian youth right now look to and target as sectors within the polity to get involved in, knowing that they can do that regardless of how much money they have and how much influence they have over them, godfatherism, etc., just as an average citizen?
Well, I think every sector, every political office, we cannot restrict the youth to a particular sector because there are so many Nigerians across the world. They are doing great things, doing fantastic things. All they just need is the opportunity. I don't believe that there is any Nigerian, that there's no Nigerian youth that cannot occupy the position of the president and do wonders. Look at Emmanuel Macron. There are so many Macron in Nigeria, so many. What we just need is the opportunity. So what I would say to Nigerian youth is, if you believe so much in yourself, if you know you have a passion for this particular office, believe in yourself, make consultations and go for it. If you don't get it today, definitely it will be your turn one day. But if we rest, these political elders are not ready to give us this space. And you know the worst part of it? The worst part of it is they are even grooming their own child to get there. So if the average Nigerian youth is just waiting and relaxing and they say maybe youth are the leaders of tomorrow, I think that is not in Nigeria, because majority of people that are occupying the seats now are the ones that are there since Nigeria gained independence. So Nigerian youth don't have to limit themselves. They say go and start from councillorship and all that. No, I don't believe that. Any position that you believe in, aspire for it, go for it, and you might just get there.
Okay, let's also define youth, though, because we find that global organizations like the United Nations cut the youth age off at 24. In some nations, it's cut off at 30. In Nigeria, we say the youth age is up until 35. However, what we also see is people who are over 35 still refer to themselves as youths, probably up until the age of 45. So we already have a problem within the definition of youth in Nigeria today. Deji, what is your definition of youth?
Well, my own definition of youth, I would align myself with the global best practice. So for me, a youth is like maybe between 25 to 35. But within the Nigerian context, whereby things move slowly, because we need to factor in the Nigerian political, socio-political context, whereby in our public universities there's ASU strike, you graduate, there's no job, there's so many limiting factors. So factoring the Nigerian context, I might just extend it to 40 because of the Nigerian socio-political context.
Okay, interesting. Now let's move on to discussing two recently concluded elections in Nigeria. We had Oshun 2018 and we had the Lagos State APC primaries. I think we should start off with the Lagos State APC primaries. Now, what we saw was very interesting. We had the current governor, Akinwumi Ambode, up against Sanwo-Olu, and of course, Sanwo-Olu has emerged as the winning candidate for the party and the ticket holder, but things didn't necessarily seem to move too smoothly within the party's internal democracy leading up to that decision. What was your take on that?
Well, the situation that Governor Akinwumi Ambode has found himself, it's in two ways. It's in two perspectives. We need to look at it very logically. The first part of it is what he is suffering now. Other people have suffered it in the past. He was unpicked by a political godfather, and they naturally silenced all his rivals, and he emerged the governor. Now, he wants to get a second time, and the same scenario is repeating itself. Naturally, if you are a beneficiary of wrong, when the wrong goes against you, I don't think it's logical to cry foul, because he wants benefit from the abnormality in the system, whereby one man sees you, picks you, fund you, and you are the governor. And it is a serious problem in a cosmopolitan state like Lagos. On the reverse angle, Governor Akinwumi Ambode is being tackled not really because of his performance. Before now, majority of the party bigwigs were commending him. We have a case of political patronage. Politicians, godfathers, they want more patronage. Their taste for political patronage is insatiable. So no matter what you do, they still want you to do more. They want you to satisfy their own interest. They want you to obey their own commands. They believe you are there for them, you are there for their group, you are there for their cabal, so you must run the state the way they so please. This is not about the average Lagosian. This is not about the poor Lagosians. No, this is about political patronage. The ruling oligarchy in Lagos State has probably not gotten enough patronage from Governor Akinwumi Ambode, and in the kind of our system whereby we have politicians with no alternative address. We have people that wake up in the morning and you ask them what they do and they say, I'm a politician. And you begin to wonder when politician becomes, an occupation. So in that kind of system, you would see that people survive mainly on politics. They survive on the freebies that comes through from political patronage. So in that kind of system, if you don't give them the patronage that they so desire, you are bound to have problems. So I think Governor Akinwumi Ambode finds himself in a very unfortunate situation because he hasn't been able to play his politics right. I would have loved the situation if they have tackled him from onset on policies, but the policies that they are saying now, they were there when those particular policies were being implemented.
Deji, this is the issue we're also seeing, because it seems as though it's more important for you to know how to play your politics right than it is for you to literally be a representation of the people and what the people want in a democracy. We see that within the Nigerian polity, a lot of elections are becoming about candidates playing their politics right. Should it actually even be that way to begin with?
Well, the thing is, we are in an abnormal, well, I won't say abnormal, but our society is dysfunctional. You see, Nigerian politicians, immediately they come to power or they sponsor a candidate to power, two things come first. Two major things. After those two things, other things comes in. Number one, they want to build an emperor and they want to be a conqueror. They want to build their own political empire. They want to have it all. They want to have their own base. They want to have their own political hallelujah boys. They want to groom their own political office holders. Then they want to be conquerors. They want to decimate. They want to arm any form of opposition. Now, after that comes whether, we need road, we need electricity, we are going to provide schools and all that. Those first two major issues is what is limiting development, most especially in a state like Lagos. So definitely, if you come in as a governor, you might have a good plan, but you might not be able to do as you wish because you owe so many political debts, like the Jide Sanwo-Olu now. If he comes in, he is already in an immense political debt of gratitude. Now, how do you show gratitude? Patronage. That's what we have in the system. So you eventually see a situation whereby if Jide Sanwo-Olu emerges as the governor, what will come first is not the development of the state itself. No, he has to do some form of appreciation to the political leaders who make them to break records, sack a sitting governor in the same party whereby a sitting governor could not get a second term. So these are major issues in Nigeria itself.
Okay, let's take this message, which is relevant to that, before we go on a very quick advert break. Now, Igwe Victor said, it's unfortunate that we allow one man to continue to play the God decider of millions of people, though those who he feels he leads are also going to continue to bear the brunt of negative impacts of the ills of politics of one man. We need a referendum in the country. That's from Igwe Victor. What's your take on that?
Well, Igwe Victor, it's quite right, but we have a situation in our country whereby people don't have the say, and the political leaders will always do what will favor them. Referendum, it's a good idea, but then it may just never hold. Look at the Biafra case. Fighting for succession is a right. If you want to secede from a particular country, there are stages, but in Nigeria, rather than for government to negotiate with you or probably do the right thing, they will send the police, the military after you. So the idea of Igwe Victor is right, but it might not just come to pass anytime soon.
Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to proceed for a very quick advert break, and as soon as we are back, the conversation continues. In the second half of the conversation, the phone lines will of course be open to you, so you can call in and contribute to the discussion. We are also going to touch on the Osun 2018 elections and get an analysis on that, as well as looking ahead to 2019 and exactly what the youths must start to do. Stay tuned.
We keep you informed, we keep you company, and we give you access to pour out your mind even through the night. We are the first talk station of the nation. We are 99.3 Nigeria Info. Nigeria. I'm listening.
Hi, I'm Tunji Andrews, and this is 1,000 Naira notes. To some people, this represents a meal, or a few bottles of beer. To other people, this is 4 units of Dangote cement shares, or 21 units of GT Bank stock, or the startup capital needed to start that pure water business. Whoever you are and whatever your needs might be, we have you covered on the Money, Business and Economy Show on 99.3 Nigeria Info, weekday mornings at 9 a.m. 'Cause it's not really the amount of money that matters. It's usually what you do with it. Cheers.
So you are welcome to my show. My name is Dr. Tolu. want to make sure you're enjoying your sex life, you want to make sure your relationship is beautiful. This is where we build homes, mend relationships, and fix sexual issues. Be sexy. Don't do it. If you do, you're going to die. If you do, you're going to get problems. You're going to get pregnant. Listen to your number one love show in Nigeria, Intimate Talk with Dr. Tolu. Thank you.
Fusion right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Deji Omoshola, political analyst, is still in the studio with me. And now the phone lines are going to be open to you throughout the second half of this conversation. However, before we do open up the phone lines, Deji, let's speak about Osun 2018 and everything that went on with the elections there. Would you say that the elections were free, fair, and transparent?
The Osun election, it's not really, well, the first election was a bit transparent, but the rerun was absolutely far from anything called transparent. For the main governorship election, I think the ruling party did not expect that kind of result. But in a state that is a downright civil service state, and workers are not being paid, in a state whereby there is some form of political imposition of candidates, you would naturally expect a disaffection within the party. So we have the party members are aggrieved, then the populists are annoyed, because it is when you pay salaries that the market women would sell. So in a civil service state, if you don't pay salaries, then nothing else functions. So that led to a situation whereby the incumbent ruling party was about to be defeated. But for the rerun election, I think the incumbent party had more time to manipulate the process in their own favor. We see a situation whereby members of the opposition party were not allowed to vote, and I think that was quite unnecessary, because if you look at the political calculation of the subsisting result in Osun State, APC was leading in the 4 local government where the rerun were to be conducted in specific polling units. Now, if you look by that calculation, all APC needs is to merge their strength with another political party, which APC did successfully by winning the SDP candidate Omishore to their side. So if you look at if you match the voting coalition strength of the APC and the SDP, naturally the APC is bound to win the rerun, because if the SDP candidate submit a structure and votes to the APC, if you merge it together, even by my calculation, even if PDP eventually merge their voting coalition strength with that of ADP, Moshood Adeoti, and ADC, Fatai Akimbade, the voting coalition strength of APC
And SDP
still surpass that of the trio of PDP, ADP, and ADC. So the political thuggery, intimidation, and harassment was absolutely unnecessary. So that discredited the process and made people cast doubt on the win of the APC, whether it was quite a legitimate win or just another electoral fraud. And the implication of that for 2019 is that people will not believe in the capacity of INEC to conduct a free, fair, and credible election, and that would have a bad effect on the emergence of the president himself, because the people's psychology, the way they see the electoral body, the way they see the police has to be right. The police and the INEC has to make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity. But a situation whereby the ruling party, controls the police, controls INEC, controls the talk, and I've said it before that the way the political, the INEC and security agencies is structured now, it is naturally a recipe for electoral fraud. In our kind of system whereby we operate a top-down approach, whereby you receive order and you just have to obey as instructed. If the head of INEC is from a particular region of the country, the head of police, army are from a specific region of the country. In that kind of system, you have technically managed the electoral system in your favor, because all the police just need is, all the IG just need is to post his loyal men across the state, and they give orders. So in any system that is top, and in Nigeria, ethnic affiliations controls the voting pattern in elections. So in that kind of situation, if you have a kind of nepotistic and chauvinistic pattern of appointment, definitely the election is technically managed, not to be free, fair, or credible.
Okay, fair enough. That was a very good analysis of that. Let's look ahead, though. Let's look ahead to 2019. And before I open the phone lines, let's just quickly touch on that. Ahead of 2019's presidential and gubernatorial elections, as amongst many others, what do Nigerian youths need to start doing from now? What do Nigerian youths need to know from now? How can we ensure that Nigerian youths, who are 110 million of the population, are at the forefront of next year's elections?
Nigerian youths need to know that they need to be involved in the electoral process. There's no reason giving the oldies a kind of opportunity to make decisions for a future they will not be part of. That is really affecting, because we have people in government that they are just taking decisions, go to China, get loans upon loans, loans that the unborn generation might even find it very difficult to pay. So they are taking decisions for a future they will just not be part of. And Nigerian youth need to know that being a political thug for a particular godfather or political candidate whose family's wife and kids are abroad, whose kids are in the best universities abroad, and you, ASU, is striking every day. There's no light, there's no electricity, there's no good road. If you submit yourself to be the political thug of such a person, what will be your own gain at the end of the day? Because you are losing from all perspectives, and that's the disastrous part of it. Because these people, during election, they come to you as youth. They use the instrumentalist approach. They use you as a political instrument to achieve their aims and objectives. And once they've achieved their aims, they are nowhere to be found. So for how long do you want to continue being a political hallelujah boy for a politician that doesn't even care about you? I think those are important. Then the issue of this vote buying and monetary inducement. As long as you are using APC rice and you are mixing it with PDP Maggi, SDP groundnut oil, and you are mixing everything together, you are happy. You need to know that sometimes you might just need to stay a little bit hungry for a while, so that you might not just be hungry forever.
Okay. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to open up the phone lines now so you can call in and contribute to the discussion. Do not forget you can also send a WhatsApp contribution to 0809 597 5805, or of course you can catch our live stream on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. The numbers to call are as follows.
Call us on 01-277-0993, 01-277-1993, 01-277-2993, and 01-277-3993. This is Nigeria Info. We are listening.
Okay, so we're going to head straight over to the phone lines. Hello.
Hello,
Hi, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
my name is Adam Moses.
You're very welcome, Adams Moses. You can go ahead.
Yeah, okay. I just want to talk about this Nigeria politics. Hello?
Yeah, we're listening to you.
Yes, about these APC people. They really failed us well because even when the even when the PDP they around, we used to our life not too hard like this. We used to buy common as a blade. We used to buy common as a blade, 10 naira. But now when this APC say they carry change come with the buy as a blade, 30 naira. Forget about other things. Not only the blade they talk about. So for my own information, anybody will vote for this APC people. The bill I say hungry go kill his papa.
Thank you for your contribution. On to the next one. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Dennis from Aja.
You're very welcome, Dennis. You may have to speak up, but go ahead.
I only want to talk about the election.
Okay, we're listening.
The primaries that have been made and the other one that have been made in Ocean. If we are going to be calling a spade, we are always talking on the radio. And I don't think maybe these politicians are even hearing what we say. Because as far as it stands, everybody knows that the election in Osun State was totally out of it. And yet, even the activists, no one is talking, nobody is even doing anything. And the man is even gallivanting and saying he's the one that won the election. So truly, I don't even see the reason why we are even talking on radio. Maybe they're not even hearing it. Because everything is just that we are not even hearing what we are saying. Even when we say all what we want to say, those people at the top are not even hearing it. So what is the point we're talking? We are talking about, preparing for 2019 election. Is it the election that we are going to go there and to go and vote and will be deprived to vote, and yet we'll still come back to the radio station and still keep complaining that it was rigged, and yet nothing will be done. Me, I'm just tired of all this administration and just pouring out my own view to you.
Thank you very
much.
much.
I just feel that we should always say what is right and what is not right.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. It's much appreciated. Hello? Hello? Hi, good afternoon. The line is a bit bad. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Fabian Obon. I'm calling from Abuja.
Do try and call us back. Unfortunately, the line is not clear. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Please, can you turn off your radio? Please, can you turn off your radio?
Yes. Hello.
Hi. Okay. What's your name and where are you calling from?
It's Sugar Michael from MN State.
You're very welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah. The issue I want to contribute is about the election that's going on in Nigeria. It's just the existence of democracy. And if Nigeria should be fighting corruption and allow this thing to be going on, what will be our future generation? Hello?
We're listening to you. Hello? Oh, okay. We've had some very aggrieved calls coming in, but let's take a couple more before we round up and close off the phone lines. Hello?
Hello? You
Hi.
have Timothy from Lekki on the line.
You're very welcome, Timothy. Go ahead.
Yes. I just want to comment on what the second to the last caller said. He said he made mention of Osun State election. I hope we heard on the radio this morning that the Osun State court has qualified the electoral officer, and the man has resigned because they found them guilty. They were complaining that it's the court that's supposed to decide on what to do. Not
well,
the
to
INEC,
me, that is
because
still unconfirmed. So I'm not sure if we can go based on that report, unfortunately, until we have confirmations on that. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Sonny. I'm calling from Owode.
You're very welcome, Sonny. Go ahead.
Yes. Where I came in to join you, I have a comment from your caller that says most of the things that we now buy are expensive. I'm not holding brief for any government because I am not a government worker. But most of the things we buy are inflated by the people that are selling. For instance, I have a friend that gives him spare parts. He used to buy something. He used to buy 350 at a standard. He will get it to Ikorodu and add 50 naira to sell it. But in that same Ikorodu, people are selling it with 350, 400. And if you ask them, they will say it's change. But they start looking for people and see that prices of these things are not the same thing everywhere. People select price and call it change. Anybody that is issuing cost should be careful. Who is issuing cost? Let the cost not be a boomerang. Because most of the things are caused by individual people that are selling, not the actual price of things. That's what I want to say.
Okay, thank you very much for your contribution. Deji, I'm coming back to you. The phone lines are closed for now. What do you have to say on what our callers have said so far?
Well, it's in two ways. The duty of the government and the responsibility of these citizens too. But I think the non-functionality of government is making citizens lose interest in anything governance, and I think this is creating a strained relationship between the state and the citizen. Then a particular caller talked about maybe votes not counting and people are not protesting. I think the problem we have nowadays is we have a lot of SMEs, people I call the social media elites, people that only stays on Facebook, Twitter. You find them major hours of the day. They're either Facebooking, Snapchatting, Instagramming, and all that. So they basically complain on social media, and as long as that continue to happen, the situation would not change anytime soon, except people are decisive. If people are decisive to effect a change, to make government do the right thing, government will have no choice than to listen. But our people, they are not decisive, and we have our people, their minds are easily manipulated, because if you see some people that are going right, all the politicians do is, okay, if people are protesting against the Osun election, for example, the next day you will see another kind of protest supporting Osun election, declaring that Osun election is the best election that have ever happened in the history of Nigeria. So we ourselves are the enemies of ourselves, because we are not focused in one direction.
Okay. We'll take one last call before we round up the conversation. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Ambrose.
You're very welcome, Ambrose. Sorry, the other line was very bad, so it was hard for us to hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I have been hearing callers talking about, elections and all of that. And I ask, has there ever been a free and fair election in this country? And even in Osun, the last election that we had, my worry is that we had 48 political parties, and all of them just queued behind the same people that are putting to one party or the other. It's the same people that are in PDP that are in APC. And we are complaining. We had opportunities out of 48 political parties to make a choice. But we refused. We decided to queue either behind APC. Let's assume that day of the election, nobody printed for APC, PDP, or Missouri's party, and the other man that decamped from APC because he felt he was cheated. Do you think other states will not have sat up? But we are complaining every time, but we have a bias for some corrupted party. That's the problem. People who are saying the election was rigged in Osun now, if it favored PDP, they won't say so. And if it favored PPP, those that are in APC will complain. We are the ones that are our problem. It's not the parties, because they continue to use us. And look at where we are today now, talking in terms of the nation. It is because of all this. If these people know that whatever they do, we will not thumbprint for them, do you think they will continue to have us on a jolly ride? So instead of us to be complaining with a biased mind, let us complain and vote out these two major political parties in the next election. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. And now the phone lines are shut, but of course the conversation continues. You can, of course, always tweet at me or Nigeria Info FM at Nigeria Info FM across all social media platforms. And you can find me at LJS Online. Deji, before we round up, what future do you see for the Nigerian youth in 10 years' time?
Well, before I touch on that, quickly, the reason why we have two political parties running our space is because majority of other political parties that we have are so ethnic fixated and syndicated. They don't have the structure, they don't have the national appeal. So that is a major problem. So we have a case whereby we have over 90 political parties, but it is technically three: APC, PDP, and others. So the others are not making so much difference, and they don't have the structure, they don't have the financial war chest. Our politics in Nigeria is so monetary based. Then the future of Nigerian youth in the next 10 years, Nigerian youth can only make a meaningful impact when they take their time to do the right thing. We have a lot of youth that don't really see the right future for themselves. The unfavorable political economic climate, is turning most of our boys into fraudsters, majority of girls into prostitution, and we need a reversal of that, whereby we have youth that can bring out technological innovations, that can, win medals across the globe. There are a few of Nigerian youth that are doing it, but the problem is even Nigerian youth that are doing great are not, majority of them are not in Nigeria, because you see that any youth that is doing great, maybe into manufacturing process or something, you see the Western nations coming to pick up such brains from Nigeria, and because the climate is not favorable for them to excel, such youth just easily grab that opportunity whenever it comes.
Okay, Deji, thank you so much for this extensive analysis today. Honestly, this was great, and I do hope we can do this again sometime soon. Thank you so much. How can people contact you for further information, social media, email?
Well, I have a Facebook page, Politiink with Omoshola Deji. Then my email, moshdeji, M-O-S-H, Deji, D-E-J-I, @yahoo.com.
Okay, brilliant. So that rounds up another episode of Fusion right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Coming up tomorrow, Simini Egbuson is going to be joining me in the studio, and we're going to be looking at the way playing a role on one of the most famous series, Sugar, has impacted his views towards sexual and domestic violence. Of course, that and more. Enjoy the rest of your day. Coming up next is the news at 3 with Taminoemi Speedy Botte, followed by the PM Hub. I'm going to leave you in the hands of Fumbi's song, Hallelujah, and I will be back tomorrow. Thank you.
I was lost inside the